to Puffy's trial, day 13, Friday. Mia, who's using a pseudonym, has testified. She was an ex-assistant. And basically, it's just the same back and forth commentary of people who were involved with Sean, that one day they were on, one day they were off. They were mistreated, hurt, shoved, blackmailed, coerced, mistreated. It's the same commentary, and it just seems redundant. And imagine 3 to 4 more weeks of this, more people testifying to the same type of ill, vile behavior by a grown man. And the fact that the people continue to stay working for him. You're going to hear a few little things about what happened in her testimony, continuing her testimony on Friday. And she also will resume her testimony on Monday on cross-examination. Thank you for joining me. You're now listening to The Vault XL.
Woman testifying under the pseudonym Mia told the jury working for Sean Combs left her with complex, severe PTSD. Defense attorneys confronted her with her flattering social media. Combs, her mentor, a legend. The defense asking, one of the legends is the person you're telling this jury has traumatized you? Mia testified Combs physically and sexually assaulted her multiple times. She said it ruined her. Combs denies it, and his attorney questioned why she would then post, "Thank you for being the good kind of crazy and continuing to inspire me every day." At this point, you have taken in so much trauma from him. That's what you told the jurors, right? Yes, I have, Mia answered. When the highs were high and the goods were good, you just fought so hard to stay in that. For his 45th birthday, the jury was shown a scrapbook of magazine articles from the 1990s that Mia made Combs and a handwritten card. Happy 40th birthday, Puff Daddy. The man who you say has ruined your life, this is what you write to him, the defense asked. At the time, as low as he would make me, he would also make me feel the opposite as well, Mia answered. It's called psychological abuse.
Well, we all know that social media is typically people's most public persona. They typically do not put the worst of what is happening on their social media. So I think some of this, the jury's going to see through it and know that this is not a reliable source for everything someone feels about someone.
While the cross-examination was going on in court at the White House, President Trump was asked about the possibility of pardoning Sean Combs if he's convicted.
I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. He used to really like me a lot. I think when I ran for politics, he sort of that relationship busted up. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact.
Combs' representative had no response to the talk of any pardon. Cross-examination of Mia is going to resume when court picks up on Monday.
And how does Mia's testimony fit in since Combs is not charged outright with domestic violence? The bigger picture here, the racketeering, the coercion, that sort of thing.
And that's exactly where it fits. He is not charged with sex assault, with domestic violence. He denies sexually assaulting anyone. But federal prosecutors believe that Sean Combs subjected Mia to forced labor as part of the criminal enterprise that they've accused him of running. He denies running a criminal enterprise, but that's where her testimony fits. And she described being made to work 24 hours a day for 8 years, sleepless nights, being made to do everything from cracking his knuckles to writing his name, to doing his taxes, to standing there for 22 hours a day, doing nothing.
That's quite the testimony. So,
all right, we're going to stop there, go back to some of her posts, because that's the latest of the wranglings in court, is things she was saying about him. So she made a collage for him on his birthday, and I believe they said she was probably 6 years into working for him at that time. So this is what the defense is basically saying, is that, okay, you're saying this guy who's terrible, horrible, but you continue to work for him. You put up a lot of social media posts pertaining to him, that he's a great guy, he's a legend, blah, blah, blah. But the flip side of that is that you're entitled to your opinion of what people post, how they look. Yesterday they felt suicidal. Today they take a picture where they're smiling. And maybe she did it to appease to him, because it seems like that's what everyone has been doing that has been dealing with him. Not that I agree with that behavior, putting up posts about a person I really don't like, I don't respect. But as you see, her testimony is like so many other people. It's up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. I don't think I would have put up anything on a social media post. I'm going to continue to work for you. I don't respect you. I don't like you. You have sexually assaulted me allegedly more than once. I don't think I would be putting up anything about you positive on a social media post. I would check into work, do my job, and then go home and try to have some type of life. But then her claim is she didn't have a life. 24 hours, 22 hours working for this man, back and forth, no sleep, which, you know, the defense has been like, you know, they don't believe that. You also hear this lady saying her testimony isn't reliable. Then whose testimony is reliable? Because basically you're hearing the same thing from assistants, stylists, Cassie Ventura. Everyone's basically saying the same. Up and down, up and down, up and down, but I still continue to work with Sean Puffy Combs. And so I'm assuming that's what you're going to hear for 3 more weeks. The same type of commentary. He did this, he did this, he did this. He said this, he pushed, he shoved, he blackmailed me. I was exhausted, I was tired, he kept calling, blah, blah, blah. We learned that that lady that was his assistant or worked with him, the Karam lady, Mia, basically told her life was over when her position ended in 2017. The lady kept trying to reach her, call me. She wouldn't respond. You know, she basically just told her she was okay. And she just stopped talking to that lady. And we're also hearing that perhaps she might be called in to testify and also might be a co-conspirator in this case. But so far, we have not heard that that lady will be a co-conspirator, because many people have been asking, you know, why is Sean the only one on trial? But it's all baffling information, because in your mind, you're trying to understand why were these people continuing to be around him. So she's putting up positive posts. She's making a collage for his birthday. Allegedly, he sexually assaulted her just a few months, maybe 4 months into working for him. He assaulted her at a hotel. We do know he likes hotels. Swanky hotels in LA and New York. That's his MO. Call you over to the hotel. Let's see where there's a problem. Going into a room. Why go into the room? Well, people say, well, she worked for him. Okay. So I go into this room, and then what? He makes a pass, putting his hand up under your skirt, dress, whatever. Now you're in an awkward position. Did she say no? Please don't do that. Please stop. I believe she didn't say anything. She just froze. See, where there's a problem with this, no matter who the female is and what her relationship was at the time to Sean, the first time you were sexually assaulted, whether you fought back, said no, you should have never gone back around him again. It's not to say that how he treated her was not the truth, but it's how it looks. Okay, it's one thing to be dating a person, they're not hitting you. You still stay. Now they're asking you to perform sex with other men. You still stay. They're beating you up, dragging you, calling you dirty names in front of people in private. You still stay. They never got your career off the ground. You still stay. Okay? That was a personal relationship with Cassie and Sean. Now you have these ex-assistants with their versions. So people are going to say, why would you all stay? Because you really didn't have anything invested with him, just that he was an employer. Well, it wouldn't have mattered if you were at McDonald's, you worked at Macy's. How far are you willing to go for a job? And so you can ask each person that question. Cassie went all the way into the abyss with him being her employer and him being her boyfriend, side piece, whatever you want to call him, sex partner. Then here you go have the assistant, same thing. You're in the abyss for a job. A few months into working for him, you're being sexually assaulted allegedly. Yet you stay back and forth, back and forth. His company, his film company, Revolts Films, ended, I guess, 2017. She's out of a job. She felt like her life was over. She felt like she couldn't go on living, blah, blah, blah. But she told that female, Karam, whatever her name is, her world was over. She also claims now she has PTSD. She's in therapy. But still, a couple of months into working for somebody and you're sexually assaulted, why would you go back and work for him? That makes no sense to me. And I get it. People are abused every day by friends, family, lovers, partners, sexual encounters, their bosses. But at some point, you have to draw the line with people. And that's how you become, more angry, vengeful, spiteful, because you continue to deal with people that you really don't want to deal with. And you're dealing with them for whatever reason. And that's the whole point about it, is that your reason for dealing with the person I may not agree with. I may not have done it, but I might go deal with a person over here and you might say the same thing. Well, I wouldn't have put up with that. But this is, to me, it's just going too far. And everybody's acting like they couldn't go get a job anywhere else. That's the part that's baffling to me. When people quit jobs all the time, they move on from jobs. And I get it. You don't want to be job hopping. You want this reference because he's famous. But who cares? Because he's a dog. And I think people would have probably stopped working with Sean had they known he was out here mistreating people. Because that would be the first thing that people would be saying, and it'd be whispered everywhere. Don't work with him. Don't work with him. He likes to touch. He likes to fondle. He likes to sexual assault. They said about Weinstein. They said Weinstein's behavior was no secret in Hollywood. He was known for that foul behavior. And then you had women testifying that, oh, he halted my career, blah, blah, blah. But the thing about it is he doesn't own everything. He may have had some pull with some people to say, you know, hey, don't work with her, blah, blah, blah. But my thing is, why would anybody be calling and consulting with Weinstein when somebody's on the casting couch to audition for a movie? I just refuse to believe that every time a person went into audition and they had some dealings with Weinstein, Weinstein had knowledge. Oh, they're over here at this studio auditioning for a movie, a play. I don't believe that. He may have been popular. He may have been a goon, a creep, money, but he wasn't everywhere in Hollywood and New York. That's my point. And I get it. A person can put salt on your name and people hear it. And they may ride on that. I'm not here to say that they wouldn't, but I'm just saying every avenue of the movie industry, modeling, you know what I'm saying? I just refuse to believe he's everywhere. Same thing with Sean Puffy Combs. Sean Puffy Combs isn't everywhere. And I get it. You use him as a reference, then the person calls him, he doesn't respond, or he doesn't give you a good reference, so then now you're sitting here waiting for somebody to call you back about a job. So I understand that. But the point I'm trying to make, Sean Puffy Combs, so like so many other movie moguls, producers, directors, they don't own Hollywood in New York. They're not everywhere. Yes, they could put a bad reference out on your name, but if you are determined to make it, you will do your best to continue onward. And I get it, it could pull you down, bring you down, but where I have the problem is all these other people, besides Cassie, acting as if he was just this life preserver that they couldn't let go of. And I cannot understand anyone being sexually assaulted by a man or a woman or whomever, and you will continue going to work for that person. That makes no damn sense to me. There is no way I'm getting ready to go work for you the next day and you just essayed me. No. And like I said, we all can put up with some deviant behavior from human beings. But you being essayed, forced against your will, one time incident of her being in a closet, he putting himself into this lady physically with his private parts. I'm just in my mind trying to understand, how do you come back from that? And then still talk about this person, post things about him on social media. I would have been doing any of that because I would not have been in Sean's peripheral. So that's what was mentioned in court yesterday. The back and forth, adoration for this man, on and off, posting things to social media, making collages for his birthday. It does sound very strange. But the gist of the story is, you've heard this from other people, other women who have testified. You heard it from that stylist, Deontay. He still hung around too, knowing this man was foul. Tried to be friends with Cassie. He noticed abuse maybe 2 times or so. She ended up telling him about the freak-offs. He had no idea. But yet he still was around. That's the point. I wouldn't have wanted to be around him. Once I realized he was beating up my friend, I'd been like, nah, I don't want to work with this guy. I don't care who he is, because there are other wealthy people. There are other famous people in the business. And you can be a stylist for anybody. You can be a stylist for a CEO of a corporation, NASCAR driver, football player. The NFL player who they have mentioned pertaining to Cassie Ventura, they believe they have his name. of that person that she was messing around with. Not that it's, really significant, because there's no telling who she may have dated while she was, entangled with Sean Puffy Combs. I didn't open the article to see who it is. It doesn't really matter. Some people, it may be important, but, it's water under the bridge. My thing is, she still dealt with Sean. So even if somebody wants to mention this guy's name, you can throw it out there if you want. I don't really care. It doesn't even really matter at this point, because she dibble dabble with Kid Cudi for what, a couple of months, maybe a year. I'm not really sure. And you see how that turned out. So she may have dibble dabbled with some other men. It's up to them to decide if they want to come forward and say, yeah, I messed around with Cassie around the time she was probably still going back and forth with Sean. And that's why a lot of people are going to be judgmental with that. Well, if you could go mess with Kid Cudi, go mess with this person, why couldn't you just leave Sean alone? What's the pull? Because he didn't even offer you anything. Yeah, he may have given a little money and paid for a house and some jewelry and this, that, and the other, all superficial things, but it couldn't have been worth how he treated you. And we hear this all the time with people who are well off and have money. They have everything that most people desire, the clout, the attention, the nice cars, the home, but they're not happy. And they're not happy, and they're not getting beat up. They're not being blackmailed. It's just something internally going on with them. What do you think of her testimony, Mia? Is she believable? Do you believe her? How does the jury weigh in on her testimony? How do they feel about what she has said? Also, the testimony from Dante, the stylist this week, the other assistant, the one that worked for Suge, and this Gina person, she's missing. Mystery witness is supposed to be testifying against Sean. She is nowhere to be found, which is very strange. And this is the same woman who Cassie felt like Sean liked. And she was more worried about this woman for some reason. Well, it's coming to light that Sean was not faithful to anyone, because obviously he was with Kim Porter, who's now deceased. He was with her before Cassie came along. And that he was dibble-dabbling with her and Cassie at the same damn time. And as I told you all in my last live, there's a picture I just saw of 4 people in a photograph, and it's Sean, it's Kim, it's Cassie, and another female, if I'm not mistaken. So I was sitting here thinking to myself, okay, what the hell's going on in this picture? So he's dibbling dabbling with Kim, Cassie, Gina, and God knows who else he was having sex with. And as I've said before in my commentary, I refuse to believe he used condoms, even though we hear that some of these assistants bought condoms for these freak-offs and Astroglide and all this lubricant and baby oil. But I just don't see a person like him using condoms, especially if it's somebody he really likes, girl, man, whomever. I don't see him using no condom. I don't. And as I said before in my commentary, I think all of these people should get an HIV test, because I got a feeling that all these people who have coincided with one another at some form or another, side pieces, freak-offs, somebody in that group has HIV or AIDS, and I won't doubt it. And I think Cassie didn't want to mention having any type of venereal disease in her testimony, because she knows she's coming to a lump sum of money and about to get $10 million from the Intercontinental Hotel. She wouldn't want to tell that, because all somebody had to do was say, oh yeah, I slept with her, now I got AIDS. You understand what I'm saying? Now she'd be sued. Also, this Mia woman got a settlement from unpaid wages from Puffy, and it totals of $400,000 the company paid her, but she only got $200,000 of that money because she had to pay the other half to lawyers' fees. Very interesting. So you're learning a lot about these people getting settlements as well for unpaid wages, or they sued him. And now they're in court testifying against Sean. Once again, Mr. Trump will review the facts, perhaps, if Sean is found guilty. But he also mentioned in his commentary, he and Sean are on the best terms. Sean made some not so nice comments about him in his presidency years ago. But he says he would not rule that out in weighing the facts, which I don't believe. We have learned that Mr. Trump is a very nasty being, and I can't see him favoring Sean after Sean has said not so nice things about him. I don't know if I believe that, because I've seen how Mr. Trump has worked with people who in the White House And he's turned on just about all those people that worked with him when he was up there years ago. So Sean has publicly said things about him. I can't see him saying, okay, he's found guilty. I'll think about it. Yeah, I might let him go. I might pardon him. I don't think so. I think Trump just said that. I don't see him pardoning him. But who's to say? He might turn the other cheek if indeed Sean is found guilty. And I'll ask that question before I check out of here. Do you think Sean will be found guilty? What do you think of the trial so far? Do you believe the testimonies of the people that have testified? Will there be some more charges down the road pertaining to Sean, and also any more lawsuits? So far, he is saying he is not guilty of all said charges and allegations. But so far, the state has proven prostitution, and they're making a case for the racketeering with this Mia testimony, because forced labor is a part of racketeering. Kidnapping is a part of racketeering. Coercion, blackmail is a part of the racketeering charges, because a lot of people are confused about really what racketeering is. It's got a lot entangled into it. And most people are confused because you're only seeing Sean as a defendant. But I believe some of these people have gotten immunity that have testified because they were witnesses to crimes that they aided and were a party of, such as one of the ex-assistants who was a driver, and he was on the ride with them to go find Suge Knight. Sean had guns in the car, blah, blah, blah. And I found his testimony strange because they asked him about, did he receive immunity? He acted like he was confused. He's like, well, I don't know what my lawyer worked out. And I thought, what do you mean you don't know what your lawyer worked out? You're free, aren't you? It's very strange. But that's my commentary for this weekend, recapping Friday's testimony. Mia will be back on the stand on Monday on cross-examination. We will see what she has to say, and I'll bring you an update on Monday or Monday evening. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. Please check out my extensive library, which I now went in. It's at about 4,500 videos. So thank you for your support. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful weekend. You have been listening to The Vault XL. Thank you.